In the summer of 1953, the 65,000 residents of the city of Springfield, Missouri were frightened when 11 cobras escaped and began showing up in people's backyards. This would eventually be known as the Cobra Scare of 1953. The first cobra was found in a yard on August 15th and was believed to have been just some sort of strange occurrence. In fact, the Springfield health commissioner at that time even stated it really wasn't a concern as anything is possible in the Ozarks. However, when the snake was brought to a local science teacher, he identified it as a cobra. Residents of the city were not alarmed by this at first. They even had fun with the rare cobra sighting, with some local bars creating cobra-themed cocktails. However, residents became more alarmed as the summer continued and more cobras were found in people's yards. As more cobras kept turning up in residential areas, police started to warn people to stay indoors to prevent possible tragedies. The police then began an investigation to find out where the cobras were coming from. As the fear of the cobras increased, people were seen walking down the streets carrying garden hose, ice picks, and guns to help ward off any of these dangerous creatures that might suddenly spring out at them. The city manager at that time even drove around in his truck blasting loud, snake-charming music to try to encourage the cobras to come out of their hiding spots. The police investigation eventually led investigators to Rio Mower, the owner of Mower's Animal Company. Police questioned him about the snakes and were skeptical of Mower's denials, especially when people started to report seeing him frantically running around the area with a bag and stick, supposedly searching for escaped snakes. Mower was ordered to move his animals out of the city, and was eventually run out of town when the public became very angry at him by his supposed carelessness. No one in the city was killed by a cobra, but there was still a great deal of resentment. By the end of the summer, all of the cobras were either killed or captured. One was caught and sent to Dickerson Park Zoo, while another was preserved in a jar and sent to be on display at Drury University. The owner of the pet store was originally blamed for the scare, but it wasn't until the late 1980s and after his death that the truth was finally uncovered about the Great Cobra Scare. The pet store owner had nothing to do with it. Rather, he was the object of revenge from a 14-year-old boy at the time named Carl Barnett. Barnett confessed to having opened the crate that the cobras were in after he felt that the owner of the pet store had ripped him off by trading him an exotic fish for snakes that he had caught, only to have the fish die soon after taking it home. After Mower would not refund him, Barnett opened the lid of a crate he believed the snakes he traded were in order to get back at Mower. However, he did not realize he had actually freed 11 deadly cobras instead, starting the Great Cobra Scare of 1953. Today, the Cobra Scare of 1953 is remembered by the city in many ways. There are several historical exhibits explaining the event, and recently, a local brewery, Mother's Brewing Company, named one of their beers after the frightening scare that took place in 1953.